All right, I think we're going to get started for those people who are here and those people who are there. And I'm in your line of sight, so I apologize. Christy Oagc, if you want to wave, she's way over in the corner, but she's monitoring the chat for me. So those of you that are online, if you have any questions, probably the best way to communicate with us is to just type them in the chat. If you would like, if you would you mute yourselves, please? I just know we'll have a lot of feedback if we don't mute. So again, I appreciate you all coming to our first hybrid lead teacher meeting, and they are going to be hybrid all year long. So if it looks like we have good snacks way in the back, you might want to come next time. And next time will be a math focus. We'll talk about that later. Those of you that are in the room, feel free to get up and walk back anytime. There's sweets and savory and all sorts of good stuff back there. So, and again, if you have a question, type it in the chat. And Christy, you just interrupt anytime if any come up. Okay. All right. All right. That's me. I said the other day, I should have worn the same outfit again. We were at ILC last week and we were going through all the slides and introducing myself. And I had that same outfit on that I have in that picture. And it was sort of embarrassing. But I do if you don't know me, because I know there's some new names that I've not met that are online. And we have some new faces here. So if I've not met you, please sometime if we're at something, say, hey, I'm one of the online people or whatever. So that is the problem with hybrid. I don't feel like we get to know each other like we used to. We don't have those same connections. So take some time and maybe we can get together for coffee or something. Again, there's the attendance link. It's bigger now, Joy. You could have gotten it, I bet. It's still not working? Okay, I'll get you a computer.
Yeah, I just clicked. Did you get yours to work? Yeah.
Okay.
You can click on it.
If you didn't sign in, this is how we do attendance. This is why you don't have to sign in if you come to the building, because we guarantee them that we're taking attendance. This is how you will get your certificate of attendance. Your digital one will come because you've signed in here. If you don't sign in here, you will not get a digital certificate of attendance. Okay. Some of you have already discovered this, but the ESC has a new website, and watching that scroll sort of makes me crazy a little bit. But if you go to this is how you can get to the slides. We don't have live binder anymore. And so instead, sorry, all this stuff will be here. So if you would go to bit.ly Stark ESC curriculum, sorry, I'm going to walk over here and go to my computer. It will look like this. You'll see what's scrolling there. Hi, Denise. So it looks like what was scrolling. And then if you go down to gifted, which is over here, you go down to gifted, you'll see this link. And up at the top, you see K-12 teachers of gifted coordinators, helpful links, and SCESC home. If you go to K-12 teachers of gifted, tonight is reading, so I'm going to look there. And it slowly loads, but you'll see that here's the 22-23 gifted educator meetings. And it has each of the, this one is reading, next time is math, and so on. And this is where all the links will be. If somebody wants to add something, let's say somebody does a presentation or we discover something we all need to share, this is where it will be. So if you click on those Google Slides, then you'll see the slides that I have been presenting. So another way of getting to that is if you go to the Stark, that's what I was saying earlier. If you go to the Stark County ESC website, you will see that learning and something page link, and that will take you also to this page that you now see scrolling. So from now on, there are no live binders. The old live binders are on my gifted site. So if you remember something from 4 years ago, you can find them. They will be there. It's a little bit harder to find. We hope that this will be something that will help catalog help you find things that we've been doing a little easier. And that just shows what that site was again. Okay, questions on that? Okay. And we'll get you, Dale, in just a second. This afternoon's agenda. So Dale Gallucci is here. He's actually really here. He's going to talk to us in just a minute about some wonderful things that I don't think you even know are there. Not just science stuff, but books. That's why he's at the reading meeting. Some other resources from Lisa Van Gemert. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but Gifted Guru, and then some other PD stuff. So that's tonight's agenda. And I'm going to take a little bit of time, and this is going to be weird, and this is where I don't know how this is going to work. But Christy, I think, how about if everybody who's online, you take a second and in the chat box, share the thing you are most looking forward to this year. So you guys interact with each other. We can see it in the chat if we're signed on. And people here, let's see, we've got another, you're sort of, can you just share something you're looking forward to this year? Dale, do you want to start? I'll make you do it too.
Not only do you have to do it, you do it first.
I'm actually looking more forward to more folks outside of science and math using our SAMM program, which does have a lot of things that could interest you guys.
Good. I'm looking forward to seeing people again and not just all on a screen. So that's my looking forward. Christy, you have anything you're looking forward to? Or you're monitoring?
I typed retirement in the chat box.
Okay. Christine.
I've got so many things to look forward to.
Okay.
But one of the new things, something I've never done before, I've never gone to the national gift.
Oh,
conference.
yay.
So that's the first time this year.
I've never gone there.
That's right.
It's in Indianapolis. We're going to talk about that. Denise.
So I'm gonna go with proximity, what's coming up next. I live in Tuscarawas County, and our fair is one of the last fairs in Ohio, but it is next week. So we are on we're on a fast pace to try and get everything done. And my son has two dairy animals that we're trying very hard to get ready. We were decorating barns last night, and we have washing and leading and things to do, but it sounds like probably not something that people would like. I like it though.
That's just something I'm not making a face because I don't like it. It's something I have no idea.
It's a lot of fun. A lot of work, but a lot of fun.
Okay, my name is Narita, currently, and I'm from Alliance Intermediate School. And so this is my first year teaching gifted. So I'm just looking forward to what I can learn and, maybe just do something new and,
You're going to learn a lot of things tonight.
Okay.
Good. What grade do you have? You said
Fourth grade ELA.
Okay, perfect.
So I'm excited.
Good.
Yes.
Joy.
I'm Joy. I do second grade. I'm just looking forward. We started a new reading program. So I like it. It's good. It's just ways to challenge my kids during like our time.
Beyond, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Tammy.
I mean, I'm just thankful to be here and looking forward to a more normal year of interacting with people
Yeah.
and seeing people in person.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Heather. Are they done, Christy? Are they all interacting with anything?
Yes, and I'm very excited to see so many people that I know. I'm still in green schools, so it's kind of cool to see everybody from green schools here that are talking about Amplify because that's their new curriculum. That they're
Oh,
putting
okay.
in. So yes, it's kind of cool to see all of that. I love that.
Well, thank you all online for participating, and hopefully you listen to some of us too. So again, this is new to me. I'm learning how to do this, so bear with me. Thank you.
Great.
Okay. And it takes a while. And again, Dale, see, he has this picture in the same place I was. We all stood right over there. Our pictures taken that day. Do you have the same shirt on? Oh, Dale wore it. Okay, all right. Dale Gallucci is one of my colleagues, a wonderful, wonderful colleague. We've gotten to know each other really well in my years here. And he is the science expert for us. But again, as he was saying earlier, they're expanding their role. It might help you in science, but he was sharing these in the spring, and I said, gosh, we need to share this out because I think there's going to be chances for you guys to use what he's going to share. This isn't the SAM van presentation. That's for science. This is for reading. So Dale, take it away.
Well,
Okay.
it sort of is Sam Van presentation. It's available. And the reason I'm saying that is
Thermometers.
our schools, well, they might, if you're doing something with gifted, need something like that, we've got it and we'll send it to gifted. It doesn't just have to be a science class.
Okay.
So that's the whole thing with that. The last 2 years, through Herbert W. Hoover Foundation grants, well, first, I should probably say first, I work with science areas of curriculum but my background is language arts. A long time ago, we departmentalized at Jackson and they needed somebody to take science. No one wanted to do it. So they said, okay, who's going to do it? And everybody turned and pointed. And at that time, I was the youngest. So that's how it was decided. So I worked through science. I got to be a pretty good science teacher, was the elementary science coordinator at Jackson for about 10 years. And then came over to the ESC as part of the MSP grant. And actually, I've been here, this is my 16th year with the ESC total. I really like it. When I started, I was one of the younger consultants, and now Diane and I are
Yeah.
the
We're the
older group from our crowd. But we do have a number of books through the foundation grant. The last 2 years, we have put about $8,000 into trade books. And they range, we have some for high school, we have all the way down to primary as well. There's just a few of them that we have. Kind of an interesting thing with the Hidden Figures book. We have the book the book that was out a few years back that the movie was based on. But Scholastic, Margot Lee Shetterly, who wrote it, she also came out with a kid's version of it. So I know we have a classroom sets of a lot of these books. So they're available, and all you have to do, we'll talk about how to get to them a little later. But there's just some Chasing Space. I've read it. It's very good. It's basically the gentleman who wrote it talks about his path to getting into NASA. And he does a really good job with it. And then he talks about life after NASA and being on the space station. I know we have the Beak book up there, which is pretty cool. Compost Stew is basically an ABC book for composting. Plastic Ahoy is about 3 scientists that go out and do a research on a research vessel. Interesting part of it, there are 2 interesting things in it. First one is one of the young ladies, when she was out there, she has now come to Stark County and has actually spoken with our students through the grant. So that's kind of cool. And then we have the Dirt book there, which is all about soil. And then we do have some other titles as well. And I brought a couple of them because last year we also focused within the grant on social and emotional learning. And so we have, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Kobe Yamada, but we have What Do You Do With an Idea? And his latest one, which I really love, is called Trying, and it's about failure and looking at failure in a positive light. And that's always a big thing in science. We really, we talk to the kids a lot, or talk to the teachers a lot about it. But you mess up, you learn from it.
And you have classroom sets of anything you're showing us?
I've got to check. I'm not exactly sure with his. His are a lot of times are just read alouds, but I do have multiple copies.
Okay.
But some of them are read aloud. Some we have like 30s, and some we have enough to that in 2 classes we could send more. Included in that, we also looked at, looking at underserved and also, other kids and, actually, looking at females in science as well. So we have Ada Twist scientist, and we do have the others, Iggy Peck architect, and also Rosie Revere engineer. So we do have these.
I thought they were real names till you started saying them all.
Oh, no, they're not.
Okay.
They're not. But they're all really, they're pretty good stories, and they do a nice job.
What grade level would you say those?
I will talk about that when we go.
Okay.
We're gonna go to show them, I'll talk about the grade
Okay.
levels
All
in
right.
a little bit. I will tell you, there are grade levels assigned to them. There are a lot of these that I would use with even, like I would use trying even with high school kids. It's not written for them, but it has a good message.
Okay.
And then we have some really interesting ones. This one is The Street Beneath My Feet, and I thought that the gifted folks would like this because you expect, oh gosh, I haven't opened this one yet. Well, oh, that's why. Oh, that thing's taped on there. You expect the book to open like this, but this one actually folds down, and there are things on both sides. It's really cool. Amanda Nickerson and I
I think this is what
worked on this
caused
one.
me to think he could, this would be good for us. Because there's a whole, aren't there others like this, Dale?
There's the other one I have this one, and I also have, the other one's called The Sky Above My Eyes. So there are two different titles, and we have both titles in there.
I think gifted kids then could write one.
Yes. And then another thing we looked at with different text and setups, different styles of the books. This one almost looks like a comic, but it's called Fossils from Lost Worlds. That's a fourth grade thing, but it's kind of a cool book itself too, and it's got some really good text features within it. So, here's just a real nice diagram of the Earth's crust, and it goes through some things with that. So,
All right, you want me to open one of these?
yeah, why don't we go ahead and open? If you go to the site that Diane showed you at first, instead of going to gifted, if you went to science, you could get to the science website. And when you get to SAMM equipment, if you went down, there's actually a tab for
Go to that
trade
page.
books. No, let's look at this. We can look at this first.
Okay.
We'll show them that.
Okay.
I think you have the link to the
Yeah.
website as well. But what I did was I did put the content area, and if you go down farther, there's even social emotional learning. But we have the content area, we have the title of the book, the author. If there was a Lexile number there, I put it in. I put in their recommended age grade that they put in on them. And then I put a short summary for each book. So that's just a spreadsheet. And as we add it, and if other books get added, that is what we'll continue to do.
And this will always be in the slide. So if Dale changes something, then it will
Yes.
automatically update because
That's
it's a Google link.
That's what's really nice about the Google links.
Okay, so let me go back then and do the other one.
Then if we can go back and go to the actual site, I can tell you, and that's it. So if you went to yours on that first one with all of our curriculum sites and went to science, mine just isn't lead teachers. Lead teachers are a part of it. But mine, the science up there is SAMM equipment. If you hover over SAMM equipment up at the top there, Diane,
Yes,
you can see, is that the trade books?
yeah, available.
And you get right to that page, but and that's the same thing. So there it is. That's just what we looked at. And Diane, if you go back well, I don't even know if you have to go back, but
Okay, now where?
you can go right there. But now I want you to go to the most important part, the SAMM equipment request form.
So the trade book is considered an equipment.
Yes, all of it is. It's equipment and organisms, anything we have at SAMM. And so what all we need is the teacher's email, who's requesting it, And then I can't see that far down.
Okay, person making requests, district and building, materials or organisms requested.
So you would just write down the title, and if you wanted a classroom set, and the number, the quantity was also on that first page too, that listed
Yeah.
the books as well. And then the date you want to start using it. And that's important because if the teacher would have put down that they wanted to use it today, we would have probably delivered it yesterday. We deliver only on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And the same thing with the date, you're going to be done with it. If we're not going to come that day, we're going to come probably the next day that we normally do deliveries
And if you
and pickups.
have pickups, do they like put them in the office or?
Sometimes folks will have stuff in the office, and other times we actually go right to the classrooms. They'll tell us to go down to the classroom. So it doesn't matter. It depends on the building. Some districts don't want us, they just, let's do it all from here. I know when we go to Lake Elementary, we just leave it right outside the main doors and in the main lobby there, and then they come and get it, or then that's where they usually leave stuff.
So probably most of these people are in buildings that you've made deliveries to, that there's probably a procedure for their building.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I will say we've probably been in most of your buildings.
Okay. People online or people in the room, what questions do you have for Dale?
But if you want to check our equipment list on there too,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that is something. If you're ever doing a project, you never know what we have that might, your gifted kids might want to get involved with, but we have some things that are available. And they are, remember, the districts pay into our program. And let me tell you, your superintendents and your curriculum directors would be very happy if your district's usage increases. So I can say that.
And would you say, I know the books are fairly new, but they probably should get requests in if they really want them. Do you think?
Yeah, they're fairly new. As soon as if you want some, and when you want them, just let me know. If something would happen and they would be out, we send something back and say, hey, look, they're out, but here's when they're coming back, and we can get them to you here. And then generally the teachers get back to us and let us know.
Okay. No questions for Dale?
Hey, just a heads up that Kevin's got his mic on. We tried to tell him.
Oh, okay.
Too much.
Kevin, you have your mic on. You might want to turn that off. We're hearing some feedback. There he goes. Thank you. All right, any questions?
Yeah, no, what was the website to get to that again? Because I'm on this one and so right here.
Science. Just
Okay.
go to
The
science.
second one and if you go to where the gifted ones, you'll go to science.
She's got her-
Yeah, it keeps,
He kicked her off she's not
The internet.
signed into the internet. But it would take you to that
Okay,
green.
okay.
that green-
And you just go to science like I was showing you to go to gifted. And then if you guys need help, you can contact Dale. His email is the same as mine, except it's dale.gallucci.
Right.
So, or you can email me and I can get you.
Yeah, and
the
you can even
information.
get it to me. So.
Okay,
And I know, I'll just read from the chat. So I know Michelle from fourth grade Green is saying we would love to use this as a resource for a geology unit they're doing. So.
Yep, and we're at Green Intermediate all the time. We're gonna be there Friday tomorrow, as a matter of fact. We have string tables going over there.
for their geology unit.
Fourth grade does soils, rocks, and landforms.
So maybe
They're getting ready.
now we can have the books to go with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Dale? Because he's gonna take off. Thank you, Dale. Appreciate you staying.
Earliest night all week.
Okay, thanks again. All right, let's move on.
Oh, Diane,
Yeah.
if you guys want that are here, you want to look at these, I'm gonna leave them here.
Oh,
Diane's gonna
okay.
Get them to me.
Yeah.
if you wanna look at them.
okay, thank you.
Okay. So now we're going to move into our reading portion. And did you know by reading just 20 minutes a day, you will actually end up reading 1.8 million words in 1 year? With an average of 500 words a page, that means you would read 3,600 pages a year. That's 12 books with 300 pages each. I don't know, but I'm not a great mathematician, but I like big numbers. And I think it'd be very easy to impress kids with those numbers. Okay, then there's some most 27 interesting facts. I didn't read that right. Most interesting 27 interesting facts about reading. I'm going to click on those. And you can see, we can scroll up. I'm not going to read all these. I'm going to, if you're online, if you want to scroll there. I'm assuming the people who are on hybrid or can you see them? Yes? Okay, I want you to either type one that you agree with or type one that you think is fascinating. I'm not going to read them all, but you can see number one, illiteracy is a constant problem. Reading reduces stress. And there are 25 more of those. Scroll down, find one. Just if you're online, don't write it in the chat. Just turn on your mic and talk to us so we know you have voices. Reading reduces stress. Amen. Yes. And how many in the summer just read junk? That's my stress. I wouldn't call it junk. It's
Fiction.
fiction.
There you go.
It's rom-coms. It's nothing I'm going to learn anything from, unless maybe some restaurants that I should go to on Nantucket.
Thrillers.
Oh.
Stuff that helps you escape.
Denise said it helps you escape. Is that one of the 27 things?
No, I was at.
Okay, all right.
We'll say it is.
We can make 28. There we go. We added one more. Okay. Anybody online have one besides Samantha?
We're adding some in there.
Oh, they're adding them. Chrissy's going to read them.
Mostly just the reducing stress.
Okay.
I
the one
like
about
the
geniuses
reading makes you a
with
better person.
Say that again.
I like the reading makes you a better person.
Makes you a better
Because-
person.
I think it makes you maybe have more empathy because you read about people who are not in your shoes.
Even if it's fiction, you can do that, right?
Yes.
Right. Reading on the beach is the best stress relief. I agree. Any other chat ones, Christy?
I like, no.
Okay.
Those were the ones. I like the one about the geniuses read faster. Because didn't it say that?
I don't know. I didn't read them all.
Yes, there was one that I said.
It was too stressful. I didn't
I
read
know.
that.
Geniuses are fast readers. That's what it said.
Okay.
And I thought that was really interesting because I happen to know some people that are such fast readers, and I think it takes me so much longer to do it, to comprehend.
This is going to show my age a lot, but I don't know why they thought some of the things they did. Must have been experimental years in education. But one of the things we had this reading, it wasn't even a reading teacher, it was a reading specialist. And we would have to, follow things along and get us to read faster. It was supposed to train our eyes to read faster. And you'd literally watch the kids in the room and they were all doing this. And I don't know why they thought we needed to read faster. I don't know. There was never a check of comprehension. It was just to get us to read faster. I found that stressful. Okay. Any others? I thought that might be something fun. Since this was a reading night, I thought it might be something you could modify and share with kids. I know you wouldn't want to put all those, but I think that's something you could share. Any comments on that? Okay, let's go back here. And then I found this the other day. You know how on Facebook, I don't know, it doesn't matter, your computer, you talk about Mr. Rogers, and the next thing you know, there's 4 quotes and Mr. Rogers pops up on your Facebook feed. But I know he said it, but I mean, that's the picture you see with all of his quotes. The best teacher in the world is somebody who loves what he or she does and loves it in front of you. So I hope that could be something that you do with reading. And I think with those 27 things, if you like reading on the beach, my own kids know I love reading on the beach. They know why I do it. That's why I go to the beach. I read on the beach and I just love it. So I think that's a good thing. Just love reading, show them you love reading. And like Joy was saying, they have a new reading series in Green. It's hard sometimes to love something when you're trying to get the mechanics of it. You know what I mean? And so I think we have to show them we love reading because even though we know all those literacy and all those mechanics, we know that we have to teach that, but we also have to show them those 27 things that are good about reading too. So let's try to remember those. I'm probably preaching to the choir, right? All right. I want to mention something about her. We were going to try to bring Lisa in this year. And just didn't work out. Lots of reasons why. And then Green was going to try to bring Lisa in this year, and that didn't work out either. And both instances were not all our faults. It was her end. So she has wonderful stuff, and we're going to see a lot of it here that I found, and we're going to share some of it here in a minute. But I just today we haven't even written the contract yet, but we are going to bring in Deidra Stafford in February. So that's good. She was here before COVID. My years are all running together, but she was here before COVID. I think we liked her a lot. I don't know that the high school people liked her as much, but she's wonderful for elementary and intermediate and middle school.
I
Denise?
will say I had high school teachers there that day and they really enjoyed. her.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
I also took a lot of her things and presented kind of like a train the trainer module and presented to my high school staff, and it was well received.
Good.
She kind of touched, you remember the M&M?
Yes.
Yes, that went over really, really well.
If any of you were there, and I know a lot of you were, and there's something that you remember that she spoke on that you think we need to repeat, I'm talking to her next week on what to present. So if you have a great need of something, this is Deidra Stafford who's coming. It'll be either the 13th or the 21st. Those are weird days, but that was when she was available, and I'm just glad she said yes. All you have to do is text these people and they answer you. It's pretty amazing. So
When did you say she's going to be here?
either we're working that out tomorrow, the 13th or the 21st. The 13th is a Monday, and that's the week of the 16th. And like, as you know, Valentine's Day is the next day. The 21st is a Tuesday, and that's the day off. Everybody has off on President's Day, the 20th. So it would be the 21st. There will be a cost, but it won't be even as high as it's been in the past, because like your district got gifted funds, the ESC got gifted funds as well. And so that will pay for some of her chunk of her fee. So we'll see her in February. So you're the first to know that. So information will be coming out later. But Lisa is wonderful. We watched webinars and she's got great information out there. So about 3 weeks ago, I wasn't struggling, but it was like, what can we talk about? I didn't have a speaker. Normally, I'm not the one who talks because I'm not the expert, but I found stuff. I'm good at finding stuff. So I found some great stuff, and hopefully it'll be good that you will enjoy it too. This is a quote. It's not necessarily about reading, but one of the lessons she presents is using quotations in your classrooms. So we're going to sort of do that. So look at this quote by Plato. The beginning is the most important part of the work. Okay. So then she said, well, you could use these prompts then, and you could do this any way you wanted. You could put kids in small groups. They could all answer them. You could, any way you wanted. You could have everybody answer them all, have a discussion. That would be up to you. Anybody want to answer any? I won't put anybody on the spot. And you could do that with all ages. You could do it with little kids, middle-aged kids, and upper kids. Ooh, and that one book that Dale showed us, look at the one question. Can you think of something you started poorly, but it ended well? Or can you think of something you started well, but it didn't end well? Then you could use that. Do you have that book there? Is that the one?
Well, no, you do try it.
See, if we were all in the room, I would have you talk about these. And I apologize. I have been coughing for months and months, and I don't have COVID. Nobody knows what it is, and all I do is cough. And then I drink stuff, and then I take cough drops, and then it goes away for a while. So it is what it is. Okay. So that was just something, it was just like something to do at the beginning of class. You could make Wednesday quotation day. I don't know. I think see a lot of ways of doing you can find quotes. If we're just type in quotes about fall, quotes about quotes about, I don't know, quotes about trying. You could find quotes on everything and then you get a whole long list.
I used to start my year with inspirational quotes and my kids had to find them.
Kids had to find them?
Yeah, and then we would post them.
Oh, that's a good idea. I like that, Denise. And then find one that meant something to them. Then you could have them lead the discussion. That would be good.
I used quotes when I was teaching in the communications class.
Oh,
Because as I work with students to make them get more comfortable to come up in front and do public speaking, I didn't want to start with anything too large. So we used to have quotes and then we did a little sort of a mindset thing where we would talk about the quote and say, what does it mean to you? Why are we using this? And most of them were on growth mindset. And it was a great way to have kids start to feel like they could come up in front, very short. So I liked using them for that.
That's good.
It matches really nicely with the Common Core ELA standards too, because what we see that kids struggle with, particularly in those tested areas 3 through high school, is they will quote, they will cite evidence, but they won't know how to explain what that evidence means or what that quote means. So having that as a focal point and as a class discussion is a scaffold for that standard. And I think it would be really fun.
I think it would be fun too. And
I-
Susan's sharing that she uses fun facts every day on a Google slideshow as a welcome screen. And
Oh, that's
there are
good.
some teachers that I've seen too, as I walk through their rooms, they've got it up on a slide or a screen to say welcome and then use a quote. So another great way to use it.
And I think it's good if you would use it somehow regularly. Either it's every day at the beginning of class or every Tuesday or every Friday or something. Fun Friday, yes. So just some ideas there, and that's my goal tonight, is just to give you a bunch of stuff that hopefully you'll find one thing you can take back. I'm big on ahas, like what's the aha from something that you can take back and use. So find an aha.
Share. Heather's going to share.
Heather, go ahead.
I was just going to add, if you're thinking about using this, there's a companion book that goes with the book Wonder that is just chock full of quotes that you could use if you're looking for a source. Of course, there's the internet too, but
Okay.
it's a nice little book.
Is that the one, did you say it goes with the book Wonder?
Yes.
Okay, and it has these kind of thinking quotes in them?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for joining in as if you're sitting here, Heather. Appreciate that. Okay, here's another fact. I'll let you read that. So obviously books, that's going to be our focus for tonight. We're going to talk a lot about getting kids interested in books. The sad thing is that some kids just don't have the access to books. My friend worked in Akron for many years and it was called Spark, but it wasn't spelled like our Spark. And she actually went into inner city homes and they got free books, like they might take a few of those, but she actually taught the parents how to sit down and read with their kids. I think that's sad, but I also think it's wonderful. So but the parents, they couldn't just have Carol come in and do it for them. They had to learn to do it as well. And she said it was the most rewarding job. I don't even think so. She didn't think of it as a job. She thought of it as a calling. But getting books into these kids' hands is so important. Any kids.
You know, I'm going to add to that. I was reading one of your facts from the 27 facts and it
Yes.
says your phone and your books are no longer enemies. And I thought that was interesting
Oh.
because so many of us have, Kindle or we have online books that we have available to us. And so I feel like that's another thing we have to keep in mind for our younger students, our clientele, that even though we may not see them physically with a paper book, their phone and their iPad might be their friends when it comes to books too.
And that's good because I was one who used to say, when I went to the beach, I wanted to hold the paper copy book, but I've gotten a Kindle now and I'm getting better. At the beach, I can use Kindle, but I still like my paper copy of my book. But that's a good point, Christy, that we have to think that. I mean, kids are coming up so differently than how we all were raised, especially me. But, I don't pull out my phone to read a book. We have a new pastor at our church and he's 30 some years old. And if he wants to read passages from the Bible, he pulls out his phone. Where I find I have the Bible sitting next to me or it's in the pew rack or something and I'm trying to find it. he's already got it, and, he just types in John 27:32 and it's right there, So it's just a whole new way, which I guess that's a good point. Maybe we don't need to have the books, although I still think it's really good to have a book in your hand. Anyway,
Heather was just sharing the link. I'm gonna figure out a way to get it out of the chat box and share it with everybody, maybe with your slides or something. Or to
Okay.
send. So she said.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think,
Well,
well, they would all have it, but we don't,
I'm
so,
trying to think how I would, I'll get it. I'll figure
okay,
it out.
we'll figure it out.
Thank you.
All right. And I didn't see what Samantha wrote. Well,
Samantha wrote, also encouraging students to enjoy audiobooks is valuable, great modeling for fluency and new vocabulary with my busy life. That's mostly how I experience new literature, true story. And it's important to have the paper books in your hand, as Susan says.
so
too.
both.
So a couple different options.
I drive to Sandy Valley often and I have an audiobook all the time and some are less trashy than others. Sometimes I have to turn off the volume very quickly when someone rides with me in my car. Okay.
Have you heard Verity, Diane?
No, should I?
Yeah.
Okay. Susan, here are the reasons. Okay. You absorb more information. Is that if you hold it? I missed the first part. Did she say these are?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was working on that thing. Susan said, here are the reasons why it's important to have a paper book.
Okay.
You absorb more information. They help children become better readers. They're easier on the eyes. You're less likely to get distracted. They can help you sleep better. Having a library at home is linked to higher academic achievement, which amplify the joy of reading.
Okay.
And I think they have access to your slides. I'm going to take that wonder list that was in the slides. I think I
Okay.
can put it in there. For
Okay.
everybody.
Perfect. Okay, so these are articles about reading that Lisa had shared. And I know it's really, for us in the room, it's very hard to read them, especially me. So I'm going to go over to my computer. Apologize if you can't see me, but I think you can hear me. When you have these open, you can actually click on each one of these. The relevance of reading, 8 reasons to read classic literature, 11 tips to get kids to read good books, how to start a book club for kids, the problem with reading logs in read ahead contracts. It's a freebie. I don't know why it says that. My favorite reading strategy, top 10 ways to annoy a gifted child, which I just think is funny, and great books for middle school readers. So what I did was I picked 2 because I didn't know who would all be here tonight. So I picked 2 of these articles. And this one's right there. This one was the 11 tips to get kids to read good books. And I thought those were pretty good. I thought we can just look at those quickly. Any comments on any of those?
I don't have access to your slides, so I will email you everything that was in the chat box so you can send it out.
Okay, that'd be perfect. When I looked at those, it was like, I don't know if I shared those 11 ideas with kids. I think of them. She's very convinced too that you keep on reading aloud to kids. That's the great way to show your love of reading, no matter their age. And I don't think I did that. We were setting up in here and there was Spark is the technology people that are sitting over here, and they had a meeting today. And the one guy from Spark said, if you gave him something, he could read it, get everything out of it he could, and he understood it. But if it came to reading, I would have called it round robin. He was horrible and he was embarrassed. And he said it just flustered him. And so I'm not saying read round robin because I hated reading round robin when I was in school, and when I taught, I didn't do it because the slower kids just made them slower and more frustrated. And the gifted kids got frustrated because they were long gone and they wanted to just keep reading. But it was just an interesting thought. So reading aloud is something you can do with kids that I think shows your love of reading, which we talked about. There's a link there to Andrew Luck, who's a football player, okay, a quarterback, was for Indianapolis still, I don't know. Whatever, he's a football player. We'll leave it at that. but he has book clubs that kids and adults can join. And they're rookie and veteran. Rookie means younger, veteran means older. I like that, yeah, instead of young and old, rookie and veteran. I don't know if I just let my kids know that, but you can use that. We're going to talk about book clubs in just a minute. Additions and context matter. Did you ever, I haven't done this very often, but read a different edition of a book? I've not done that, Denise.
I believe, I get only one call comes to mind, but, and it was actually, it would qualify as a trashy novel.
Okay.
But like the author wrote the original edition and then like 15 years later came back and rewrote the ending. And I read the second version first, and then I picked up the first version and I was like, well, I know why she rewrote it.
Okay.
But it was really interesting to compare the two.
Right. I like number 10. Feel free to abandon. And I don't know that we teach kids that. I think we just require them to read a lot. And that's okay. But there are times I don't like a book. And what I usually do is go to the end and read the ending because I still want to know what happened. But I didn't used to do that. I would think I had to finish reading it.
Same.
Is that a our age thing?
Maybe it is.
You know, I
was terrible at that, like.
get to a point where you like feel like it's not worth your time anymore. Like that's what happened to me in the last 5 years. I'd be reading and I'd be like, I have no idea where this is going. I'm gonna check the end. Nope. Put it down and move on to something else.
Anybody online have any comments on that? Again, I'm not a good expert. I'm not the one to talk about this one because I don't read good books. I'm the one who said I read that they're not trash, but they're not ones that are on anybody's great list or anything like that. I have to say, again, remember I said I was the experiment in school? When I was in high school, they decided we weren't going to do typical English 9, 10, 11, and 12 or AP or anything. Instead, they broke everything down by modules, and we had short story, science fiction, creative writing, poetry, and blah, 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 blah. Well, that was fine. Those classes were okay. I read no classic literature in high school. And I blame my teachers and whoever I don't even know if they had a curriculum director then, but whoever decided that, I think that was a loss because I never read any of Jane Austen. I never read anything like that. And I did pick some of them up in college, but I just haven't. And I think that's I think I wish I would have. So
I think I'll add one thing to that about get the backstory. One thing I know I'm looking at things like when we think about literacy and getting kids to read, and even the new curriculum agreement with Amplify, a lot of time is spent with this whole idea of backstory, front loading, what the story's about to get the kids sort of ready to, and I don't know how it is at the elementary
Yes,
level.
exactly, yes.
There's a lot of time spent developing some background information for kids. And I do think that makes it so much easier for them then to grasp onto and want to continue to read. Because sometimes if we just give a student a piece of literature, a piece of text, they don't have that umbrella of everything they need to know ahead of time. So for me, get the backstory. I always have to read everything. You know, if I'm going to read something myself, I want to know, well, who wrote this? Why did they write it? And I can see as we move into, hey, just plugging the old science of reading stuff, this is part of what we need to be doing with kids to get them hooked. So that kind of stood out for me a little bit.
that makes so much sense. If you've ever given those Stanford nationally normed tests, which a lot of us have given those, and you do the reading section, and they have to read those passages, they are so daggone boring. And it's like, could they have not found something that was at least interesting? But I'm thinking that I think they try to do a variety of them, but they're horrible. And then maybe that's what it is.
Testing too. It just is so difficult for students to even
Just to pick up and read.
Mhm.
Any other comments on that? We'll move to the next one. That's the same link that was in the other link. Okay. Oh, Lisa put this on her website, and she has a best loved book of Little Women. And so this was from her library, and somebody, her grandmother or somebody gave it to her at a very young age, and she's kept it over all the years. And she said she's marked in it and she loves the drawings and whatever. So I was talking about this in the office one day, and I said, Matt's got, Matt Mays, who was here a little bit ago, but he's got 4-year-old and a brand new baby. And I said, what books do you have around your house that are best loved? And so he sent me these were his wife's golden books that they still have. But I don't know if you can see those on the screen, but look at that one with the Santa. It's really been opened a lot, right? And the Snow White, you can see the binding of them. And they aren't at his house, they're at his wife's mother's house. So she has kept all these books. And I can just picture the great Ed Hunt came in an Easter basket, right? And somebody can remember when they got that book and why it was special. Boo Guess Who was probably the one that looked like it was opened the most. And these aren't books that have, pages that you open and close and things pop out. They're just little golden books. Then, so I went home and tried to find some. So my husband, who is a hoarder with a capital H, went to the basement. So the one on the left says, the one on the far left says 50 fairy tales. And I don't know if it just got used a lot or that one was mine, or if it just fell apart, but it's got the old original version of fairy tales. Not very pretty. He found Catch-22 that he obviously either stole from the library or checked it out and never returned because it still has the barcode on it.
Bought it at a library.
Okay, we'll assume he did that. And underneath that is the paperback version of Kidnapped, which was cool. But this was his sister's. So my sister-in-law's book, Ben and Me, it's a little golden book and you can't see it, but it's hard to see. And I put the inner side, it's got her name printed on it. So she wasn't very young. So it's got Cindy's name. Then this was the last page and she circled all the ones she had read. So he didn't even know that was down there. So now we have to give that back to her. But I thought that book meant a lot, and these are the ones she had read. And probably one she wanted to read too. So Lisa was saying in hers that, these are not classics. Well, a couple of them are, but these are what was important because someone gave it to you or you just love the story or something like that. And that's what we want to instill in our kids. Oh, let me go back a minute. Does anybody have a favorite book they still have from their childhood that's online or in here? You have one, Denise?
I do. I was dancing to the Ohio State. And you
That's my text thingy. Okay.
no, but my children love the Tawny Scrawny Line, which is also a little golden book, and it's been read to like pieces. Like it's falling apart.
That's
in
cool.
so many ways. And for me, it was actually Little Men. I read that by Louisa May Alcott so many times.
Interesting. That's what I said I didn't have. I just didn't read classics. I remember in the movie Blind Side, which is one of my favorite movies. And when I forget his name now, when Michael Orr comes to live with them and then they go to the bookstore and they have the little boy reading Ferdinand the Bull.
Yes.
Oh, I get goosebumps. See, I could cry right now thinking of that. But that book meant so much to the kids. And then he didn't have books growing up, but then how he could associate with that. And then later on, she says, he's like Ferdinand the Bull.
We've
So,
got a couple from the chat box there. The Wizard of Wallaby Wallow,
okay.
by Jack Kent, and The Little House on the Prairie. So a couple of other ones. The Night Before Christmas, the Monster.
Oh, you had the
gosh, I have so many, and
grandfathers.
I missed them. I'm so sorry.
That's right.
All the Little House books. The Little House on the Prairie. Monster at the End of the Book. Oh, the end of this street.
Okay. Sorry.
It's so bad. Richard Scarry books. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
The Richard Scarry books.
See, this is just a make you feel good session. Yes,
I
ma'am.
listen to Dr. Seuss.
Dr.
That's
Seuss.
mine, yeah. My mom, she, we got us into the book club, how like they were.
Yes.
So,
Oh, that's
you know,
right.
they said,
Yeah.
I think that really that was it for me, just my love of reading, just.
Well, that was those are so creative. I mean, the fantastical type things for our generation. Hans Christian Andersen. Okay.
Good example.
Thank you.
Shel Silverstein's poems.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. That was my kids really like Shel. We had all those books.
I Love You Forever.
Yeah. All right.
I'm gonna go home and hug our kids.
I know. My kids and read fun books. All right. So then then this was another thing, list of, let's see. Oh, this was to get good books for middle school readers. I think middle schoolers often tell you they don't have time to read, they don't want to read. And so this was her article on this. So the challenges, she lists these, we know there are challenges, but these are challenges you give to kids. All I know is I will compete at anything. And I just know a lot of middle school kids, either they'll rise to the challenge or they'll say, forget you. But it's a good way to get kids to read. So there are a whole bunch of there. You can read those there by the bullet points. If they're in blue, there is a link there that will take you to like a 50 book challenge and read all of the Newbery winners. You could say read 5 of them, but I mean, there's like thousands of things here. And then there was this list. I had to go through, some of her links didn't take you anywhere. So these all should work, but links to animals or fantasy and so on. So you could use those however you wanted to get the kids to read.
And I'll also add, enlist your librarian or media specialist in your district. Ours does a great job, and I know we used to do this reading writing festival, but if you can enlist that person to come in and do those book talks, again, with just kind of because sometimes for kids, they get to go to the library and pick out a book, but they have no idea where to even start. So doing that background and bringing somebody in to do some book talks every once in a while during some, fourth time is awesome too.
And if you remember the scene from the movie Matilda, where she gets to go to the library for the first time. If you don't watch the whole movie, just watch that scene. In fact, I have it somewhere. But, she was obviously brilliant and gifted and goes to the library and doesn't realize she's allowed to take the book off. And she would sit there and read in the library and giggle, and the books she would read. And it's just so neat. And then finally, the librarian says, well, you can have a library card. And then you see her wheeling the wagon with the big stack of books. It's awesome. I wanted to share this one. Okay, so I didn't go to Ohio State like Denise did, but there was this Brutus's Summer Reading Challenge that came across. And that's a link to it. Just this, you got this card with all these things to read. And I was impressed. I didn't read any of them, but I was impressed with the kinds of things they had. They're more adult, but you could modify them. Biography, a book written the year you graduated, book that takes place in a country you've never visited, banned book, a book published this year, a book with a one-word title, a book written in the decade you were born, author's debut novel, book by an author that shares your first initial. I thought that was cool. Young adult fiction, which is always good. Those are my favorite books, I think. Book set in the future, book with the food in the title or on the cover. But if you go to that link, what you're going to see is this picture, and it is awesome. Then what they did, and apparently they do this every year, and if you turned it in, you could win prizes, but they also sent you bingo stickers, and so you could fill out your card. They also, not only was this on the front, then you wrote they had all these listed on the back, so you put the title. It also has become a Facebook page, which I joined, and people are sharing their completed cards, which is really cool because, maybe I read, a Charles Lindbergh biography and somebody else found a different biography of Charles Lindbergh, but they're sharing them. And I think that's a great way for kids to learn of new books. So I thought you could create something like that. Obviously, some of these are very adult oriented, but I thought you could, again, you'll see the link there that you could maybe create some of that. We actually created some lists here at the ESC. Oh gosh, that was maybe about 4 years ago. We tried one day, we all came together and I thought this was a great 3rd grade book and I used this in 4th grade. So if you go click on these, you'll see there's that SCESC is the Stark County ESC compiled list. Then there are some that I found in other books. The 3 bottom ones were Mensa Excellence in Reading, and those are books that they recommended. Mensa, you know, is the group for high ability, I guess, young people and adults. The third bullet there, Catherine McKnight, I shared those, and she's got long book lists for every grade level. So all I did was scan those in from her book. So if you're looking for books for kids to read, take a look at those lists. Okay, so now this is going to be a little bit tricky. If you're in this room, you're going to be in one group. If you're online, I think you're just going to have to use the chat as your group unless you want to talk. Oh, Christy's going to let you talk. They're going to go over there somewhere. But what I'd like you to do is go back to slide 14 or anything from slide 14 to slide 20, which, let's go back. This is 14. Whoops, wait a minute. This one. And find an article or anything on any of those slides that basically just about where we just ended that you think you can use or how you would use it. Now, I know that's crazy out there, but I'm hoping that somebody will look at something and find a different use for something that, you know, I didn't even see or something like that. So we're going to take about 15 minutes. If you just want to look at one thing, and then you can share in your group what you found. Okay? So 15 minutes, it's 5:20. So at 5:35, we're going to come back. People online, you share your thing in, you know, you're going to talk. So maybe Christy can be the stenographer and keep track of what you learned. And people in here, if you want to share something, and you can get up and get food and then come back and share. And then just look at one thing maybe and share that you find. Okay, this will be your break time too. Okay, 15 minutes. Christy, did you have to be the note taker or do you want someone else to share out their ideas?
Oh, let someone else share out their ideas. Everybody was great. Samantha has great ideas. Melissa shared a lot. Heather shared a lot. So yes, any of them can share out.
All right, somebody online speak up and tell us something you either do use or you would use from things we shared tonight. I tell my online book study things that I'll pull out popsicle sticks. I'll make them up.
Order.
Yeah.
Well, and here's what I did tell them. I'm going to take their ideas that we talked about, and some people were putting them in the chat box. I'm going to put them in that email for you.
Okay.
Other resources that people talked about. I'll just share, and then I want somebody else to jump in. A lot of our discussion was about read alouds and like why that's so important in fluency, and why kids not only need to do silent reading and also do reading, but also hear it out loud. So I'll let them go from there and talk about some of the things they do. Maybe pick on.
All right. If anybody wants to speak up, but before you do, I'm going to say one more thing. What I'll do when Christy sends me this list, remember I showed you on the gifted site under tonight's meeting, I will put the link there that you can find all the ideas that we came up with. So anything that was discovered in the chat or whatever, we'll put there.
Melissa can talk about the book whisperer, maybe.
Melissa, you want to talk about the book whisperer, please?
Just a really great read if you're wanting to implement independent reading in your classroom, help to model and coach kids into how to fall in love, how to choose a book, how to fall in love with a book, how to fall in love with reading. Donalyn Miller is the author.
What is her name again? I'm sorry.
Donalyn.
Okay,
It's in the chat
Donalyn.
box, so Christy will get it, I'm sure.
Okay, I'm on. Okay. Anybody else have any phenomenal ideas to share that we can learn from?
What did you talk about in here? Because we didn't get to hear you.
We talked about, we were making our new friend comfortable. Talked about read alouds. We talked about how books just take you away. So we really didn't talk about we went more back to the 27 reasons to read.
Okay.
So we didn't share we weren't as faithful in our talking, although we were talking about books in a different way. Okay. Anybody else in here want anything to share that's in the room? We all had good snacks. And we all miss seeing you in person, but we understand. Okay, so we'll move on through here. and the book lists, and we did the sharing. Okay, so basically we're gonna wind down, and please know, no matter how long, you found a PDF of the Wonder Book, okay? Share that,
Share that after. So that's-
has it, so we'll share that too. So Joy, you won't have to find yours now. Joy had to look for hers.
Email it, yeah.
Okay. But no matter how long our meeting goes, I give you 2 hours credit. So if we end early, you still get 2 hours credit. So, we're good with that. Just some upcoming PD things. The OAGC Fall Conference, that's the one in Ohio, it's in Columbus, is October 17th and 18th. If you think you might be interested, in all honesty, it can be very good and it can be very, it just depends. There are lots and lots and lots of sessions to go to, and it's really how you pick sometimes. And I guess I have learned, just like I could put down a good book, if I go to a session that isn't meeting my needs, I walk out. Because you've spent money to go there and whatever. So if you are interested and think you might be able to go, you may not know this, but your districts did get money for gifted professional development from the state. And so, maybe speak to your gifted coordinator or someone and ask if you can go. If you can't, you can click on that link and that will take you to the registration. But if you want more information about it, feel free to contact me. I was asked to start mentioning this already. The last 2 years, the High Impact Conference has been virtual. It will be live, face-to-face this year. Now, we do know there may be some virtual presentations. So for example, I don't know, Carolyn, I'll make this up because she's not coming. Carolyn Tomlinson might agree to come if she could be virtual. So it might be a room where we're watching Carol and on TV, but that part will still be live. It won't be recorded and you're just watching it like you could watch it at home. So it will be in June, probably around like the 14th, but don't quote me on that. It'll be 2 days in June. And there is a call for proposals. That is a link. If you have wonderful ideas for I forget how long, 40-minute to an hour session, please don't think you are not good enough to present. We love presentations where you make something, where you share units that you've done, where you share ideas that you were just sharing with Christy. I bet you could put those into a session and it would be well received. I don't know where it will be yet. We're still looking into sites. I do know that there's going to be a very famous person, and I don't know what you call the person that's at the end of the conference. The keynote's at the beginning. We're purposely putting him at the end.
End note.
End note. There you go. The end note person will be someone you will want to hear, but they purposely did it so you wouldn't just come to the keynote and leave. So it will be the end note. So that will be something to look forward to. The lock note. Okay. All right. How about it could be the last note, whatever. Anyway, the more important thing to take away is be thinking about how you could present. I know several of you in here and several of you online have presented at these in the past. It's not threatening. I find making the videos are threatening. Talking to people in a room, a classroom, is not. So be thinking about what you could present. If you presented at one of the virtual gifted lead teacher meetings in the past couple years, that could be a session. So be thinking, maybe you could even present with somebody else. Maybe it's less threatening if two of you go together. That's also a possibility. So be thinking of that soon. And somebody mentioned NAGC, Christine did. It isn't, I don't have it up there, but if you just Google NAGC, that's the National Association for Gifted Children. The conference is in November and it is in Indianapolis. So if you want to talk big names, that'd be the one you might want to look into. But again, just Google that and you can get information. And again, remember, Deidra Stafford is coming in February. And it's not on there because we just found that out today. The next lead teacher meeting is math. I started doing this a few years back. Many people don't teach both reading and math. And so, we'd have a whole meeting and we didn't talk about anything that pertained to them. So the next one is math. It will be on Thursday. It will be at 4:15 like tonight's was. It will be hybrid like tonight's was. So you can still join online. I promise the people in the room, next time I'm going to spend more time talking to the people in the room and bring wonderful food again. So I understand it's a convenience thing too. I know it's very easy and some of you that are far away. But I'm glad we have that option. That's, a lot of people said we want hybrid and a lot of people said we want in person. So hybrid makes it work. A lot of people wanted virtual, a lot of people wanted in person. So we'll continue the hybrid until we're told not to. In January, then will be our next reading meeting. And we are going to join with Amanda Nickerson and her lead teacher group. And we're going to do a joint reading and gifted reading because she felt that some of her reading literacy people needed to know more about differentiation. So I am going to be asking some of you who I know are the experts in differentiation in your classes to help me present that day, because I can stand up and talk till I'm blue in the face, but until you talk to someone who actually does it, then it's more believable. So some of you I will be in touch with. So before I go on, we'll say thank you. But do you have any questions or concerns before we go on? And you'll get a free half-hour credit. Anybody online? Anybody in the room? Okay. All right. Good night. So long. Auf Wiedersehen. Adieu. Adieu. Adieu to you and you. Good night.